Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this Red Gaming Tech video. My name is Marta and I'm having an amazing day. Paul is working on some other projects today, so it's down to yours truly to walk you through what's going on in the tech world. And to start things off, we have some RTX 4090 gaming benchmarks. Of course, Nvidia finally unveiled some of the RTX 40 series. We saw the 4090 and the 4080 16 and 12GB variants, as well as some other benchmarks, but obviously the more benchmarks the better. And like I said, we have some gaming benchmarks today. As I'm sure you're aware, Overwatch 2 launched yesterday in early access mode, and Nvidia decided this was a cause for celebration and boasted some pretty impressive performance figures that the RTX 40 clocked with Overwatch 2. And you can see the benchmark results on screen yourself. As you can see, the 4090 got some pretty insane results here actually. 507 FPS is nothing to sneeze at. And then the RTX 4080, 368, and then the 12GB one is 296. So a fairly significant gap between these two, but the gap between the 4080 and 3080 is obviously a little less. But with a game like this, frame rate is obviously hugely important, especially if you're playing at a high level. And still, the RTX 3080 is not exactly performing badly by any means. It's still clocking in at 249 FPS for the 3080. Now, as well as the actual gaming results, the raw frame rates that PC gamers love to look at, we also have some Nvidia Reflex performance numbers with Overwatch 2. Now, I'm sure Reflex doesn't need much of an introduction to you guys. It is a latency lowering technology. And, well, you can see the results for yourself on the screen. Now, while we do obviously see a reduction in latency on the RTX 40 series, the RTX 30 series, you obviously see a much more significant reduction in latency here. For example, 3060 goes down from 45 ms all the way down to 18, which is damn. That's pretty damn impressive. 3070 is not exactly shabby either. 30 down to 13, and then the 3080 is 23 down to 11. Now, obviously, the issue here is that the RTX 40 series already running the game at insane frame rates, so the amount of latency reduction it can get is a bit limited, but we still see up to 60% reduced latency in this game. And for those of you who are thinking of sticking with the RTX 30 series as gen and also thinking about giving Overwatch 2 a spin, I think you'd be pretty happy to know that Nvidia Reflex is definitely going to be worth switching on. Personally, in terms of the game, I'm not going to go too far into that because that's not really what you're here for. I played a few games of it earlier, and my first impression is that not a whole lot has changed, but I only played maybe 3 or 4 games, so yeah, that's not really enough to even shake the rust off, so my opinion is work in progress. Let's just put it that way, but yeah. Anyway, and just to throw in our own performance numbers here, conservatively, we've been hearing that the 4090 is roughly 60 to 70% faster than the previous generation. We're going to move on from that to some prices, as ZOTAC have unveiled their prices for the RTX 4090, and it's pretty much in line with the prices that we saw the other day from MSI and a few other companies, I believe. We saw some of their prices as well. And obviously, Nvidia did request all of their IOBs to have at least one GPU in their offerings that is at that MSRP. And because it's the 4090, that's not exactly, going to be the pennies you find behind the back of the sofa. It's still $1,599.99 or $1,600 if you're, not looking to go crazy saying that number over and over. But the OC variant of that same Trinity card, which is the MSRP card, is $150 more just for the OC version, which is, oof, I feel that in my soul, like right here, And then the Extreme Aero is $200 over the cheapest model. Like I said though, this is the 4090, not exactly a surprise that it's getting up there in terms of price. I think it's more the jumps from the MSRP variant just for the OC that makes me go oof, oof, oof. Anyway, let's move on, shall we, to AMD. Now, obviously, we've been talking a lot about Zen 4, but a lot of eyes, I feel, are on Zen 4 3D, which is something that we've been talking about a fair bit over the last few days, or weeks even, I should say. And Grayman recently tweeted that the Zen 4 CPUs that are going to be seeing X3D variants are indeed the 12 and 16 core processors. And if this sounds at all familiar, that's pretty much what Paul has been saying for quite some time now. And this was in response to a post where he took some guesses as to the pricing that we're going to be seeing for X3D. I'm not going to focus on that because it was just a guess, but still nice to see him discussing this because, as I say, we have been saying this for quite some time. And we can reasonably expect about a 15 to 30% improvement compared to the vanilla Zen 4, which is not exactly shabby considering this is still obviously the same generation. So just from having that X3D variant, you're going to see a significant performance bump if our expectations are correct. So again, this is what we've been saying for a while, but still nice to see other sources discussing. And one final thing before I leave you, lovely ladies and gentlemen, for the evening, we have some prices for the MSI B650. Now obviously, there's been some concern about how expensive it's going to be to make the jump from Zen 3 to Zen 4. And don't get me wrong, it's going to be expensive, especially if you're going with a higher end Zen 4 products like the 7950X, and obviously then you've got to get your DDR5, and the DDR5 pricing is still not amazing, so it's still going to be a pretty penny, but obviously we do have some prices for the B650s from MSI, and at least this helps, is what I will say. The cheapest one is $189.99 or $190 if you want to prefer to say it that way, and then the more expensive one, the B650 Carbon Wi-Fi, is $329, which again is not exactly cheap, but it's a higher end one, it's not exactly surprising, and then the middle of the pack is kind of $240 to $220, but still, the B650M only being $190 is still nice to see. It still helps, you know, it helps bring down that cost. Now again, Zen 4 as an upgrade path, not going to be cheap, but every little does help, and this is one option, of course, if you're looking to shave some dollars off the upgrade cost if you are looking to do this. So that's me done for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. As always, your support is hugely appreciated. Do remember to like and subscribe, just help out a great deal, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.